Volkswagen itself designed and constructed the original Amarok. However, the second-gen variant, sent off last year, is essential for a more extensive cooperation among Portage and Volkswagen to foster light vans and trucks mutually. The Amarok shares its stepping stool outline skeleton, suspension, and power plants with the Officer, yet is estimated and situated above it. A solitary taxi Amarok is presented in certain business sectors, yet just the twofold taxi is sold in Europe, where we drove an Amarok in Britain. The motor setup is intensely one-sided toward diesels. A turbocharged 2.3-liter EcoBoost gas motor is presented in certain spots, yet not in Europe. The base powertrain is a 2.0-liter four-chamber super diesel, making 168 pull and mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox. Over this, a twin turbocharged variant of a similar motor builds capacity to 202 ponies and gets a 10-speed programmed transmission as standard. At the highest point of the reach is a 237 high-P turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 diesel, which is really the respected JLR Passage Peugeot motor that controlled the last-gen Reach Meanderer TD6. All European forms have four-wheel drive and a low-range move case, with the 3.0-liter motor likewise getting an electronically locking back differential. Switchgear. Nerds will have a great time in the Amarok's lodge sorting out which accomplice has provided the different parts. Albeit the dashboard is exceptional to the Amarok, Volkswagen's creators have concocted a plan that is basically the same as Passage's, as the two trucks utilize an enormous representation-orientated touchscreen between two thick air vents. The Amarok gets plusher lodge materials, including delicate touchboards on the entryways. Light switches, segment stalks, and the stuff selector all are Passage parts. Yet the Amarok has a Volkswagen directing haggle new roundabout regulator for the different powertrain modes. The Amarok likewise loses the Officer's actual warming controls, rather overseeing temperature and ventilation through the touchscreen. The Amarok we drove addressed the mid-range style trim and had the twin Super 2.0-liter diesel. Regardless of being far shy of the peak of the arrangement, our truck actually cost generally what could be compared to about $700, counting tank charges, which is almost $10,000, not exactly the most costly 3.0-liter Aventura model. For setting, those UK costs are about $4,000 higher than the same Passage Officer in the two cases. As one would expect that cash, gear levels are great, with the style trim getting power situates, a 360-degree camera framework, versatile drove headlights that can change their example to not visually impaired approaching drivers, and versatile journey control with a path-keeping function. The driving experience feels basically the same as that of the Officer. At the point when the truck is running unladen, the Amarok's backleaf springs give an uneven ride quality over everything except the smoothest surfaces, albeit the dampers work proficiently to forestall undesirable optional movements. Adding 200 or 300 pounds of stowed rock to the bed, far shy of the style model's most extreme payload limit of as much as 2,377 pounds, diminished the roughness, yet additionally made the Amarok be all the more effortlessly lost its line by bigger knocks. Regardless of the bustling suspension, refinement is incredible for a pickup, as the Amarok travels at expressway speeds with insignificant breeze or outside sound, and the seating position demonstrated agreeable for a really long time at a time. The guiding is precise and sans slop, yet our truck came wearing mud and snow-evaluated Goodyear Wrangler tires that could convey just restricted grasp on cool, wet blacktop. Frequently, extremely restricted. Luckily, the Amarok's long 128.7-inch wheelbase implies the deficiency of back tire footing in sharp corners would, in general, bring about smooth, sluggish movement slides. Choosing four-wheel drive changed the taking care of equilibrium to understeer, however conveyed, unrivaled footing. While we didn't do any towing, Volkswagen claims the Amarok can pull as much as 771 pounds. The Amarok's twin super diesel is most joyful in the lower spans of its fire-up range, where the programmed gearbox likes to keep it. The force pinnacle of 368 lb-ft is accessible at only 1750 RPM, and the height of the transmission's upper proportions implies the motor can journey at 70 mph. Without going beyond that point, demands for more diligently speed increase will more often than not bring various downshifts as the transmission shuffles its proportions, the motor developing stronger and less willing when pushed more enthusiastically. Notwithstanding a computerized tachometer set apart to 6,000 RPM, the Amarok's motor meets its limiter at 4,500 RPM and won't actually go there except if you physically control the transmission. Left in drive, it generally moved before 4,000 RPM in any event, while enacting its kickdown switch. Volkswagen claims a 10.5-second hurried to 60 mph and a 112 mph top speed. We loved the original Amarok when we drove it back in 2018, and we lamented that it wouldn't be brought to the US. At that point, it would have felt new and different, contrasted and comparatively measured rivals. Yet the new rendition has lost the differentiation of heading out in a different direction and become basically a posher and plusher form of the Passage Officer. The new Amarok is an affable, tasteful truck. However, regardless of whether it were given an alternate motor and changed for American preferences, it wouldn't be sufficiently unique to present a defense for itself in the States. Volkswagen Australia presented the second age model, firmly connected with the Portage Officer, with another V6, yet additionally single and B Super Diesel 4s, and a Super Petroleum 4. In spite of many motors notwithstanding, the V6 is as yet representing around 70% of deals. The mid-range style trim accessible with either the Bi Super 4 or V6 diesels is representing around half of all Amarok deals, and we've scrutinized it with the less well-known 4 to check whether it's truly worth making good the additional cash for the bigger engine. Regardless of what's under the cap, the Amarok is a tasteful-looking ute all around. Where the Officer has clear plan joins with the F-150, the Amarok's fresh lines give it a familial likeness to Volkswagen's traveler vehicles. Indeed, maybe not the brand's latest, more voluptuous models. The style is somewhat less Armada spec in appearance than the less expensive Center and Life variations with its 18-inch compound Haggles steel sports bar, and goes facing any semblance of the mid-range Portage Officer game and top-spec Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain. Volkswagen has given the Amarok a more alluring inside than its Officer cousin, yet convenience has experienced in the process. There are no cup holders on one or the other side of the scramble, as can be tracked down in the Officer, for instance, while those in the mid-control area are ungracefully estimated and set and an irritation to use. The Officer cunningly has both environment controls on the touchscreen, in addition to actual buttons and handles just underneath it. Yet Volkswagen has disposed of the last option for a line of less valuable flip switches. At last, the Officer's shrewd guard of void at the back, which considers simpler admittance to the tub, doesn't exist on the Amarok. The plan is more upscale in the Amarok nonetheless, with a fresh, precise plan, an appealing two-tone brown-dark colorway, unobtrusive surrounding lighting, metal look feature trim, and a delicate touch run top. Add some more delicate touch surfaces to, for instance, the sides of the mid-control area, and this inside would look completely fitting in an around $70,000 SUV. Delicate touch trim doesn't appear to be as high vital in utes at this price tag. The guiding wheel is an exemplary Volkswagen thing, which feels pleasant and has sensibly planned and put switchgear. Volkswagen has taken the Officer's in-vehicle innovation, yet given it its own look, which makes the Amarok mix-in more conveniently with different models from the brand. Simply don't go expecting a computerized cockpit with full-screen map season the instrument bunch. While that would be a decent consideration, the points of interaction are appealing and simple to explore. The touchscreen is responsive, and we approved of remote Android Auto dropping out. Not just that. The remote telephone charger was surprisingly solid as well, and you can, without much of a stretch, see your telephone. This is especially significant as, in my experience, remote telephone chargers are continually exiting charge mode, and many neglect to hold your telephone set up safely. The Amarok likewise has a similar camera innovation as the Officer, and that implies fresh, high goal sees that are among the best in the portion. We simply wish there were repetitive, actual environment controls like in the Officer. The easy routes on the screen are consistently visible, while an actual flip switch will take you to a screen showing a portion of the environment capabilities. However, this arrangement isn't as natural. While the Officer offers forward-to-pass network, permitting you to do things like remotely open and begin the vehicle, or check the trailer lights utilizing a cell phone application. There's no comparing application for the Amarok, the Super Diesel V6, and Super Petroleum 4-chamber motors accessible in more costly Amaroks are wafers. Yet don't go reasoning, the 4-chamber oiler is a poor relation. We might partake in the Super Petroleum and the V6 Super Diesel motors accessible in the Amarok, yet the Bi-Super 4 is not really a poor relation. It's thriftier than both, yet still has a lot of snort and refinement.